Hello, watchers. Today, in this video, I would like to share how I become to run this kind of business in a very primitive way or business model. Actually, there are very ridiculous reasons. You know, as you see, my main business model is very primitive, right? And then, like, not very much like some elegant style of cafe or restaurant, right? Although I have the shop name cafe, camping cafe and restaurant, right? The ridiculous two reasons I end up in this type of business way. Actually, you know, my shop, my physical shop, my main shop, indoor shop, right? It's pretty decent, It's, decoration wise and space wise, pretty decent. I sometimes took some video in the shop, not outdoor, indoor, right? And then, although I have very decent type of shop, physical shop, indoor, right? But I still mainly use this outdoor space, right? The very ridiculous reason, the first reason I keep this way of my business. Although my main business area is a cafe and restaurant, but I can cook. I don't know how to cook actually. And I'm absolutely the last person who can be good at cooking and making also drinks, right? Coffee or latte, whatever, you know. I don't like to be pretentious anymore, I don't want to pretend myself I am a good cook or I'm really good at, cooking or making drink, all this kind of stuff, right? I choose not to be pretentious. So I was thinking, what is the best thing I can do, right? And then I took some while to think about it very thoroughly. And then, it's a kind of dilemma. You run cafe restaurant, but you are not confident about your food. And later I decide to be myself and then completely my way. And I decide to use, my body, my labor time. Actually, I don't know whether I have to say this is for me fortunate or something like that, because this kind of work, physical work, even this kind of sorting out or collecting garbage things, right? For myself, since my young days, I was grown up very small town, countryside, and then it's not very special things at that time. All the environment, living environment was not so good in Korea, like back in 70s, 80s, right? So this kind of job is nothing special for the people grown up around that age. So I decide maybe the physical work myself is the best thing I can do. I can command myself. And then I just kind of decide go for this way. And then another very ridiculous reason I insist this way of business, you know, is even more ridiculous. You know, what is the biggest drawback doing business? Being a businessman, right? My biggest draw is actually I don't feel comfortable charging people, charging money to the people, right? Even to your customer, I don't feel very comfortable. I became very nervous and all the time, you know, feel very uncomfortable charging people, especially haggling the price, right? And then all these kind of things. So it actually nagging me so much since the very beginning of this business. And very early days, actually, I still also sold some food, some processed instant style of food, pizza, and other like style of the milk it kind of stuff, all these things, and then it makes the anyway. You have to put your own profit on top of the purchase price, right? For the processed things, right? Food. So all the price became higher and higher. That kind of dilemma, and then I really hate charging customers more like price, all this kind of stuff. So I just take down all the food menu, side dishes or main dish, whatever, all the related to food, right? I just took down all the food items in my menu, and then since then I don't have food order here. I don't take any order, and I just let customers bring their own food, and then they can cook by themselves, and whatever, like food or drink, whatever, just let them take care of by themselves. So in order not to create another additional expense to this place, I feel extremely uncomfortable whenever I face the customer to be charged for more expense for the all those optional items. So I just made all the price quite fixed rate, and then just make all things very simple. When you come this place, you pay very fixed the minimum cost, and then just without any extra expense, something like that. So here my price system is very simple, and my customers pay only the charge for the admission, and then for charcoal grill if they use the barbecue grill, right? But the gas burner or for the plate for the gas burner is already free of charge. So only barbecue grill and the charcoal, except that everything is fixed. You don't need to pay additional cost So you don't need to worry about for the additional ridiculous cost stacked up, something like that. I just make everything very simple, very simple. And then, of course, it means I gave up all the means to increase my sales turnover. And then my sales turnover also pretty big decrease, very first part. And then compare, actually, my sales turnover, considering my size of this business, I mean, considering the number of customers, budget here is relatively quite small, right? So many people, they are surprised if they do actual turnover, sales turnover here, right? Because this is kind of hot spot, and like usually many number of customers, right? But if they do what I'm making here, they will be surprised. They will be very surprised. Of course, I don't open my sales turnover easily to other people, but anyway, it's not big considering my size of business, considering the number of people visit here, use this place, because I don't sell anything else special, and then anything like we can make some big profit. And then even here, all the doing like things, I don't mind people, customer bring their own at market price. So my customer can save a lot of actually money from this place, right? Because basically they don't need to buy anything here. I don't oblige them to buy my stuff only, right? I mean, so they can buy and bring here whatever they want, something like that, right? So basically they can save a lot of money, and I only focus on what I'm really good at it, maybe cleaning things, So my motto running this place is here like this. You take care of setting table on your demand, by your demand, and after the party, all the leftover thing, you just don't worry about it. I'll take care of all the leftover things from your party, so they don't have any burden to, concern about their leftover. So my main way of business is, earning cleaning fee. I think that is my idea about this business. I don't need to make big money out of this business. Anyway, I'm not good at making money. That is, I became very clear about myself, right? And I don't blame about the fact I can, maybe if I use my brain a little bit more, maybe I could make more money. But it's quite fair enough, because as a restaurant owner, you don't know how to cook, right? And you don't know how to charge the customer. So it's kind of ridiculous condition, right? So I mean, that's my lack of my ability, right? So to only get for my label cleaning fee is, I think it's fair enough. I don't mind. And anyway, I feel much more comfortable than charging customer a lot of optional cost and making more money out of this business. I feel okay in this way, making just enough money to keep me afloat for this business and taking care of my livelihood. I don't have any complaint about that. And the very ironical things I'm telling you. I mean, my strategy to be small and bigger, right? Player, right? To make money. Actually, that is the reason I still survive in this tough business environment. Without this, my own policy, right? I just feel comfortable this way. I don't need to worry about, or I don't need to get so much stress out of haggling with customer for extra charge, all that kind of shitty things, right? Honestly, very often I doubt myself if I'm the person to fit run own business, because I'm really not good at making money. So quite often I doubt myself if I'm really right person to own business. But the life course of my life at this stage somehow allow me to this path and this way of business. So I can complain. And also sometimes I think about myself in the past, so ambitious, so big gut, that fearless Jacob. It seems very distant to my current myself, current Jacob. That's quite irony. But anyway, in this business mind, myself, I feel more comfortable. I feel spiritually more charged, so I can complain. Anyway, that's the kind of trade-off, right? Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.